Hello and thank you for clicking on this video where I'll be sharing my honest experience of the Raptgo Hook X in collaboration with HBB aka Hawaii Bad Boy aka Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews. This is going to sound like I'm kissing HBB's ass, but I like his tuning, as he has a preference for good bass which suits what I'm looking for in my sound. So when Linso announced that one of my favorite IEMs is in collaboration with HBB and it's getting a retune, I was wet from all the excitement. The moment that listing came live, I checked out faster than anyone can say HBB. However, while waiting for its arrival, there were a few things that I noticed that concerned me. First thing is that, as of recording this video, HBB has not released any videos talking about this IEM, which is quite different from when he has other collaborations like the Kinda Lava or QKZ HBB or even the Yan Yin Mahina, where he is very excited to be talking about those collaborations, but nothing on the Raptgo Hook X HBB aside from one or two comments replying to people. So this was quite unusual. So I'm not sure if HBB is just too busy with trying to review a lot of other exciting releases, or did something happen with Raptgo, or was this IEM not tuned to what HBB requested, hence the silence. It's all speculation at this point. And then I saw the graph of the Raptgo Hook X HBB with the original Hook X, and they look almost identical, with a bit of raise at the side bass, the mids, but otherwise an almost similar IEM. So here we are, the Raptgo Hook X HBB in my hand. So did I just get the same IEM with different colors? The best way I can share my experience is by comparing the Hook HBB, yes, that's what I'm calling the blue IEM because it's easier, directly to the original Raptgo Hook X. So if you have not checked out my review of the Raptgo Hook X, links are in the description down below. So without further ado, let's see if my fears have come true, or is there actually a noticeable difference between the two. Before we dive into the juicy stuff, let's talk about accessories first. For the accessories, the Hook HBB package is mostly similar to the original packaging, except for the fact we get a case for the spare ear tips, and we get one less set of ear tips. The original Raptgo Hook X had 3 sets of interchangeable ear tips. The Hook HBB only has 2 sets of interchangeable ear tips, and they're both different sets as well. You have one set of silicone ear tips with a more rigid ring like spin fit ear tips, and another like softer feel rubber like ear tips. So it's great we get different types of ear tips, but it's kind of sad we only get one set of each. Also, keeping in line with the theme, the case is painted black instead of the grey like the original. For the design, they both essentially have the same identical shape, with the obvious difference being the colors, and that color is carried throughout the cable, which are both braided cables, which is nice. The shell themselves have the Raptgo HBB branding in letters, and that's pretty much the difference aside from the colors. The faceplate themselves may look similar at first glance, but if you take a closer look, you can see that there is a different driver configuration. It's like covering up more holes on the Hook HBB compared to the original Hook X, so it may look the same, but it's slightly different. Not noticeable unless someone comes really close to your ears, in which there's an invasion of space and you should call the police. They also changed the termination design, where on the Hook HBB it's a slightly shorter and simpler design, and the connection starts in the middle, so you get some even weight distribution as opposed to the original where the connection is only a quarter of the entire connection. So I like the look and design of the original termination, but I prefer the security and feel of the Hook HBB termination. I wish they would have splashed some blue on the termination. That'll seal the deal. My previous issue with the original Raptgo Hook X is that sucking sound, but is somewhat fixed on the Hook HBB, as I do not get the same sucking sound as I did before. Call it driver flex, whatever it may be, it's not as present anymore, which is good. Fit is the same as the previous Hook X due to having identical shape, and I know having this open back feature probably may give some people fear of sound leakage, but to be honest, it leaks about the same as you would with any other IEM you'd be wearing with volume on full blast. Here's a quick comparison between two IEMs. Sure, the Hook HBB leaks just a bit more, but so did the variations, and the person next to you would have to be really up close to you and have the same hearing capabilities as a boom mic to be able to hear your music. Basically, I'm trying to say your music is safe with you. Also, the filter at the nozzle has much smaller holes on the Hook HBB compared to the original Raptgo Hook X. This may cause some difference in the sound, but let's find out. Now we get on to the good stuff. To do this comparison, I've hooked both the Hook HBB and the original Raptgo Hook X to the HiFiMan EF400. Both IEMs have a 4.4mm termination because I want them at full power. Both having the same ear tips, and the volume knob on my EF400 remains the same for both during my testing. And here's what I personally noticed. One of the aspects I loved about the original Hook X was its bass, and Hook HBB decided to add just a touch more, but the rumble is not as tight as the original Raptgo Hook X, and I'm not sure if the raise in the sub bass is pushing the planar driver to its absolute limits, or this is naturally how increased sub bass sounds like, but it just sounds a little uncontrolled, almost like distortion. I know that word sounds very negative, but it's very slight and only noticeable on certain tracks that's very sub-bass focused. However, another noticeable difference that I do enjoy is the slight raise in the mid-bass. The impact, the slam, hits a little harder than the original Hook X, and on some songs, boy does that impact catch your attention. It feels really good, for me personally. For the mids, the moment I put the Hook HBB into my ears and pressed play, I immediately thought, hey, back off man. Okay fine, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but I do hear the sound closer to me than I did on the original Raptgo Hook X. I went back to the original Raptgo and it confirms this, as the original Raptgo was slightly more laid back, a little more recessed, and I'm guessing with the Hook HBB, the forward presentation helps bring the vocal presence just a little bit more, which would be a good thing if you were not a fan of the slightly recessed mids on the original Raptgo Hook X. For the treble, I feel the treble is a little bit more present on the Hook HBB. They both still have the peak that made me wince a little on certain female tracks, but I could hear the trumpets a little clearer, a little sharper. The difference is ever so little, but it was still noticeable to my ears, which lends itself to having a bit more clarity to cut through the bass and the mids. For Soundstage, unfortunately, with the forward presentation in the mids and slightly elevated bass, it makes for a slightly more intimate presentation compared to the original Raptgo, which to me was that IEM's highlight. That slightly wider sound presentation compared to typical IEMs on the original Raptgo is not as obvious anymore on the Hook HBB, and listening to Fluid by Yoshi Horikawa, it just sounded a bit narrower on the Hook HBB. In terms of details and separation, because of that intimate presentation, things sounded a little bit more congested than the original Raptgo on busy tracks. So even though I can sometimes hear the details, I feel like I'm trying to separate them in my head, and I need to focus on them because of how busy it is, which made me feel like resolution took a very small hit. On the original Raptgo, since it was a slightly more recessed presentation, it made it slightly easier for me to separate the different sounds, even though the details were just a touch softer than the Hook HBB. Now at this point, I thought I was in denial, thinking all this difference in sound could be attributed to psychoacoustic or me just wanting to justify that I spent $259 on an IEM that looks the same but sounds different. So my brain lied to my ears saying it is different. So to clear all this up, I've decided to do a blind test where I've asked my wife to randomly plug in one of these two IEMs and put them into my ears and pressed play of any one song and change it to the other IEM, and I guess which one is which. And the quick results based on 3 songs. Oh, they sound very similar, but I would say this is green, the previous one blue. Okay. This is green, the previous blue. Okay. This is green, previous blue. This test confirmed 2 things. 1, I definitely do not have golden ears, and I possess the memory of a goldfish because as soon as I took off one IEM, I forgot how it sounded. And number 2, there is some difference between the Hook HBB and the original Raptgo Hook X, but the differences are very, very minor, but they are there. The most distinct difference would be the bass, and on some songs I could pick up quicker than others, but it was harder to differentiate between the two on other tracks with less bass presence, as you've seen from the blind test. Of course, since this test was aided by my wife, you might think that this was all a setup, which, well, you're entitled to your opinion, so take this blind test result however you will. The biggest question I can foresee is people asking, which is the better IEM? Is Hook HBB an upgrade to the original Raptgo Hook X? And to answer this, I think I saw one of HBB's comments saying the Raptgo Hook X HBB is not an upgrade, but a different IEM, which from my experience so far is true. There isn't a better IEM between the two. It's two different IEM with different presentations for different preferences. If you loved everything about the original Hook X, especially the sound, then the Hook HBB might not suit you. If you disliked the recessed presentation of the original Hook X, then the Hook HBB might actually be the thing that suits your needs. The Hook HBB has a touch more bass, a forward presentation, and a more present treble as compensation. I take both of these to work and I find myself reaching for the original Raptgo Hook X a little bit more. I guess I really like my space. But there are times, especially songs that I know has more bass presence, I find myself changing to the Hook HBB to play those songs because that bass, it's really addicting. I know on graph it's a very small race, but boy does it make a difference in my experience. Or maybe it's just my particular unit having a variance to what's been graphed by HBB. I'll never know. I can only share what I'm experiencing, and this is it. With that all said, that concludes my experience with the Raptgo Hook X HBB. I hope this video was somewhat informative to help you with your purchase decision. If you enjoyed the review, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. That would really help me out and I truly appreciate your support. If you purchase the Hook HBB, do share with me your own experience in the comment section down below. Which do you personally prefer, the original Hook X or the Hook X HBB? Thank you all again for watching. Until the next experience, take care and enjoy the music.